is a lamp unto my feet, and a light unto my path. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet, and a light unto my path.
First reading, a reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Romans, chapter 6, verses 12 to 18. Brothers and sisters, sin must not reign over your mortal bodies, so that you obey their desires. And do not present the parts of your bodies to sin as weapons for wickedness, but present yourselves to God as raised from the dead to life, and the parts of your bodies to God as weapons for righteousness. For sin is not to have any power over you, since you are not under the law but under grace. What then? Shall we sin because we are not under the law but under grace? Of course not. Do you not know that if you present yourselves to someone as obedient slaves, you are slaves of the one you obey, either of sin, which leads to death, or of obedience which leads to righteousness? But thanks be to God that, although you were once slaves of sin, you have become obedient from the heart to the pattern of teaching to which you were entrusted. Freed from sin, you have become slaves of righteousness. The word of the Lord.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Luke, chapter 12, verses 39 to 48. Jesus said to his disciples, "Be sure of this. If the master of the house had known the hour when the thief was coming, he would not have let his house be broken into. You also must be prepared, for at an hour you do not expect the Son of Man will come." Then Peter said, "Lord, is this parable meant for us or for everyone?" And the Lord replied, "Who then is the faithful and prudent steward, whom the master will put in charge of his servants to distribute the food allowance at the proper time? Blessed is that servant whom his master on arrival finds doing so. Truly, I say to you, he will put him in charge of all his property. But if that servant says to himself, 'My master is delayed in coming,' and begins to beat the menservants and the maidservants, to eat and drink and get drunk, then that servant's master will come on an unexpected day and at an unknown hour, and will punish the servant severely, and assign him a place with the unfaithful. That servant who knew his master's will, but did not make preparations nor act in accord with his will, shall be beaten severely. And the servant who was ignorant of his master's will, but acted in a way deserving of a severe beating, shall be beaten only lightly. Much will be required of the person entrusted with much, and still more will be demanded of the person entrusted with more." The Gospel of the Lord.
My dear friends, today, for our reflection, Jesus invites us to be watchful. Because, my dear friends, in unexpected ways, Jesus may speak to us. Uncertainty and being unexpected has become the rationale of our world today because of all the troubles that we have. But my dear friends, all these earthly uncertainties, earthly unexpectedness cannot deter us, cannot block us from being hopeful, being expectant of Jesus coming into our hearts. Therefore, my dear friends, let us, while keeping our minds and thoughts in all these uncertainties around us, be expectant. Because, my dear friends, hope is a virtue and part of faith faith is enriched and enlightened by hope. We should not give in to despair and discouragement because we have not been able to practice our faith, or we have not been able to be refreshed by the sacraments, we have not been able to be strengthened by our outreach with our parishioners or friends. But my dear friends, Jesus speaks to us in our unexpected ways. In our uncertainties, He comes even more closer to our hearts. Therefore, being connected to God, connected to Jesus, should be a continuous relationship. Jesus speaks to us in different ways, my dear friends. All kinds of troubles, problems, difficulties of life that we are experiencing are moments of not discouragement, but to be encouraged to keep our trust in God. The material uncertainties, the difficulties that we are facing with our employment, or the hopelessness that is created in our society, in the economy, or in all kinds of other ways, my dear friends, moments for us to all the more turn towards God and ask for His guidance. And my dear friends, we need to be people of hope. We need to be agents of hope for others. We need to be upright, strong in our faith, and be a light to the world. Jesus invites us to be ready so that whenever He comes, we will be able to meet Him and have our faith strengthened.